me Sophie. I'm a senior here majoring in international relations, and I'm a proud member of the Honors College here at FIU. I'm also one of the 8 Hamilton Scholars and 32 student interns in Washington, D.C. On behalf of this fall's cohort and the thousands more that will come to make an impact here in our nation's capital, I'd like to thank you for joining us in this very, very early Monday morning, despite us having a little Miami party here. Well, to get us started, I would like to introduce Carlos Becerra, Associate Vice President of FIU.
Can Miami and FIU throw a party at 8 a.m. or what? Thank you, Sophie. Welcome. We did this for you. Welcome to the new and improved FIU in Washington, D.C. We're so glad that so many of you are here. We're so glad that our delegation is here and so many of our federal partners. Joining us today are our university leadership that you'll meet momentarily and more formally, but our chair, Dean Colson, vice chair, Roger Tovar, our trustee, Lugo, President Jessel, and other leaders. Today, we're excited to renew our commitment to our initiative in Washington, D.C., which is all about, and you will hear all about, collaboration. We'll soon introduce you to many of our federal agency partners, but we wanted to get moving because they have business as well today to introduce the esteemed members of our congressional delegation that are here with us today. Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart. Congressman Jimenez will be joining momentarily. Congressman Tim Ryan, in addition to being a proud Panther parent, and as Congressman Ryan has learned, in addition to our native tribes and our Caribbean roots, he has learned that Miami's founders also come straight from Cleveland, Ohio. Also glad that we're joined here by the teams of Congressman Wasserman Schultz, Lois Frankel, Frederica Wilson, and the rest of our South Florida delegation. To kick us off, I wanted to introduce a person we're glad that is joining us this week, the chair of our Board of Trustees, Dean Colson, for a few quick remarks.
2 pages, so it'll be very quick, page and a half. Last week, Roger Tovar and I were in front of the Board of Governors to have the 6th president of Florida International University confirmed, and Ken Jessel's our new president, and we couldn't be more excited to be here today with him. I told the Board of Governors we're celebrating our 50th anniversary at FIU. 50 years ago, last September, we opened with 5,600 students. Today, we're 56,000 students. We're one of the 10 largest universities in the country. We're one of the fastest rising universities in terms of rankings, fastest growing in terms of research, and all of y'all should be so proud of what all of y'all have done to make this all possible. The new heights we can accomplish in the incredible city we live in, there are no limits, and we're doing that in part because of the great research we're doing every single day at the university, and that's possible because of the wonderful support we have from our delegation. And our delegation, many of whom were state legislators, like Congressman Diaz-Balart and Congressman Wasserman Schultz and Congressman Wilson, they left their mark on our law school and our medical school and our engineering school. And today they're leaving their mark on all the federal research dollars we get. We're spending about $250 million a year in federal expenditures. That's extraordinary for a 50-year-old university, and it's because of all your help. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to thank our congressional delegation, who on a very bipartisan basis score some big wins for our students in our research portfolio. Recently, these include major project funding wins for our brain health researchers, our water quality testing in Biscayne Bay, the reconfigurable antenna center for the Defense Department, and our beloved Aquarius Reef Base in the Florida Keys. So at this time, I'm going to call up Congressman Diaz-Balart and thank all of you all for being here. Roger Tovar and I cannot be more appreciative of the support you give us. Congressman.
Good morning. Good morning. You know, this wouldn't be possible with the fact, if you didn't have the coffee there and get it all together. I just want you to know. So look, let me just thank you for doing this, and what an exciting day, right? I do want to mention, you mentioned my colleagues, but also a former colleague and now, what's your title now?
Assistant Secretary.
Assistant Secretary Gwen Graham is here, and I want to mention her. She's a good friend, Mr. President, again, somebody who has FIU in their blood. You're not new to any of us, and so again, congratulations, and we look forward to continue to working with you, and congratulate FIU. You know, when you think of this amazing place that we have the privilege to live in, the United States of America. And of course, those of us that live in Florida live in the best place, the best country in the world. But one of the things that, and it's really interesting, this is something that reminds me of our colleagues from European countries. And they tell me, do you realize this miracle that is the United States? And yes, it's freedom, and yes, it's opportunity, and yes, but it's also social mobility. Social mobility, if you think about it, is almost an American phenomenon. You know, if you're born in a wonderful, great, sophisticated, first world country in Europe, but your grandfather was a shoe shiner, very honorable thing to do, it's very likely that your great-grandkids are going to be shoe shiners. In the United States, we don't even think in those terms because we take for granted social mobility, which is, again, it's not a democratic phenomena. It's not a phenomena of wealthy countries. It's an American phenomena, which we take for granted. Well, you know, one of the reasons is, and one of the drivers of social mobilities in our community and in our state, it's FIU. It's FIU. Think of the miracle that FIU has done for hundreds of thousands of families over the years, creating opportunities, changing lives. And that's why, for me, it's such a privilege to be with all of you today. I've always recognized that FIU is a very special place. And that it's not only is it because of all the things, Dean, that you were saying, but it is this very unique engine of social mobility. And with that, again, congratulations. It is very cool, by the way, that not only is this incredible facility, con café cubano, but it's on the ground floor. So it's also a place that, the world will see what we know, which is this very special place. To end, I forgot to mention also, which you did mention, the teams of my other colleagues. They do amazing work, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I think one of the superstars in D.C., and my team, Elizabeth Dos Santos, who's here. And so anyways, thank you, congratulations, what a privilege to be here.
Would like to invite Representative Carlos Jimenez to the podium, please.
Thank you. How do you follow, Mario and, Congressman Diaz-Balart? I mean, I always do, and I somehow, fall short. But anyway, look. The main campus of FIU actually lies in my district. All right, so I don't know why you spoke first. You gotta fix that next time. But if you want to keep funded. But I'm not like that, believe me. Actually, I am. Look, I'm very proud that the main campus of FIU lies in District 26, soon to be District 28. And a lot of the things that you do also go all the way down into my district, which is also the Florida Keys, and the research that you do down there in the Florida Keys, and how to maintain our reefs and how to maintain the ecosystem. It's so important in Florida 26, which I also have a bunch of snakes and alligators because I represent the southern portion of the Everglades, right? And so that's very important to us. But, I was sitting there, listening to Mario, and yes, I agree with everything Mario said about mobility, and it's an American kind of tradition. It's an American experience that very many countries don't have. But I also was thinking about, I was alive when FIU started, and it was the old Tamiami Airport, and it was a couple of buildings, and then what you have done, in the last 40, 50 years is incredible, and the thousands and thousands of students that have gone through FIU, and really many of them, the majority are probably from Miami-Dade County, all right? And so it's our area, and so while I may represent the actual campus, really all of us represent, all the people, all the young, men and women that have gone through FIU and have benefited from FIU. And so it's a distinct honor for me to represent you, and I will always make sure that FIU gets its fair share of federal funding, because I'll twist this guy's arm because he's an appropriator, and make sure that you guys come out okay. Because you know why? Because it's good for America. It's good for Florida. It's good for the residents of Miami-Dade. I have seen firsthand the great work that you do and how you change people's lives for the better. And because of that, I have something from the Congressional Record, Mr. President, I'd like to give you. On the occasion of this opening of the the Student and Research Showcase Center, I'd like to hand you this part of the Congressional Record. It'll be in the Library of Congress for all time, I guess, and as long as the United States exists, this will be there, commemorating this day.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Wow. So now we know that our delegation has to go, but before they do, we actually have some additional thanks from 60 feet underwater in the Florida Keys.
Hey, can you guys hear us there? Yes. I'm going to assume that you can. Hi, I'm Jim Forkman. I'm a professor of biological sciences, and I am the associate director of our Institute of Environment. I'm calling you here from 60 feet underwater. And we introduce the people we have in Aquarius with us today.
Hi, my name is Kathy Gienhart. I'm a staff member for the university, and I'm also a graduate student in the biology department. So excited to be here.
And an undergraduate of FIU.
And yes, I was an undergrad at FIU before I came to grad school. I basically grew up here.
Good morning, my name is Roger Garcia. I'm the Operations Director for Aquarius Underwater Laboratory. Again, the only underwater laboratory in the entire world right now, and it's under FIU's management.
Great, thanks, Roger. Hey, congrats to FIU and DC for the new digs. They're gorgeous, and we really look forward to using them as home base next time we're in DC to try to tell our lawmakers and agency heads about all the great work that FIU is doing under the oceans. So we're dialed into you from Medina Aquarius Reef Base. It's the world's only underwater research lab, as Roger just said. From here, FIU conducts basic research. We monitor the health of the coral reef ecosystems, and we also do a lot of applied work with agencies like DOD and NASA, training people that work in extreme environments, astronauts and people underwater, et cetera. And we want to give a special thanks to our congressional delegation who have worked really hard to keep this unique national resource operating. We exist because of the collaboration and congressional leadership that put this former federal facility on a new path where we can do greater research, more agency collaboration with NOAA and NASA, and it puts us in a place to inspire future STEM students, ocean scientists, and the general public. And we need to thank you, Congressman Diaz-Balart and Jimenez. Thanks for your support, and thanks to your support, we're in the process of upgrading this facility to be a state-of-the-art electronic monitoring station for the world's oceans. So we're here because of you, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. And Carlos, congratulations on the new digs.
It is habitable. We're ready, back in business soon. Aquarius is the perfect example of FIU-led collaboration that has been propelled by our members of Congress and our delegation and our strong collaboration. As you can see on the screen before you, quick little shout out as the program ends. We invite you to interact with this wall that does go a little deeper on a lot of these key research themes and our display outside, whether it be environmental resilience, population health, international development, water quality issues, and other strong priority of the delegation. None of this would be possible without our federal investments, and we do think it's important to thank many of our key federal partners, and we have so many of them here today. I do want to give a shout out to some of our guests here today. From the White House Office of Science Technology Policy, Kate Koizumi, great champion of higher education research. Assistant Secretary Gwen Graham, U.S. Department of Education, former Congresswoman. Nana Diallo with U.S. Agency for International Development. Nana will actually be using this facility on Friday, where USAID is holding an off-site retreat. Chuck Sams, Director of the National Park Service. Thank you for joining us, sir. Dr. Bindu Nair with the Office of the Secretary of Defense and the Director of Basic Research, Department of Defense, very important, obviously, to our growth. And many of you joining us here from the State Department, NIH, Smithsonian, and we even have our representatives from the Embassy of Spain. So with that being said, in addition to our federal external partners, this is all a collaborative effort. And I do want to once again give a shout out to our leadership. This has been many years in the making. Chair Dean Colson, Vice Chair Roger Tovar, Trustee Carlos Trujillo could not make it here, but I was hoping to. Trustee Christopher Lugo, Student Body President. I have a near and dear place to that role myself. President Kenneth Jessel, our sixth president. Interim Provost Elizabeth Behar. On the academic side, this is very much a collaboration. We have our acting dean, Shlomi Dinar, of our School of International Public Affairs. Not here today, but this includes collaboration with our College of Art Sciences and Education, Dean Heithaus, our Honors College, as well as the College of Communication, Architecture, and the Arts. In that media lab that you see next door, we have a gaggle of students. Some of are here today, our student reporters, operating as a news bureau here as well. So that's exciting. Dr. Andres Hill, our Vice President, Senior Vice President for Research, obviously strong collaborator, an important part of what we do. Vice President and CIO Bobby Grillo, technology is definitely a part of this operation. And we have representatives of our building partners, Cushman Wakefield, as well as Pollinger, and our partners with Hyperquake that have helped us tell this story. And very important to note that this is very much part of our DNA is not only the students that are here, Student Government Association, please raise your hand. A lot of the growth of our student programs has been because of support of that organization and that important body in wanting to bring over 120 students come to DC a year to intern, and over another 600 or 700 come on shorter term trips, and your offices are always very keen to welcome them. And of course, our alumni. Is Charlie Stack in the house? Okay, Charlie Stack is the leader of our alumni chapter. I made a mistake last night. He was there as well. I introduced who was our George Washington founding member of the Alumni Network, and I left out Joe Biden, our current leader. That's Charlie Stack. But last but not least, another one of the important leaders at the university that has really helped propel this vision is the Senior Vice President for Strategic Communications, Governmental Relations, and External Affairs, Michelle Palacio, who over the last 10 years has really helped guide where we're going here. Michelle?
Thank you, Carlos, and thank you everyone for being here. You have all been supporters, champions, and partners with FIU and of course FIU in Washington, DC. This has been an exciting year for us. Have you heard? It's our 50th anniversary since opening in 1972. And look at us today. As the chair mentioned, we are the fastest rising university in public rankings according to US News. That is in the last 10 years. And also we are ranked #1 in producing undergraduate degrees to Hispanics, #10 in producing degrees to Black Americans in STEM, and also, as the Congressman mentioned, my favorite ranking, we are top 5 in social mobility in the entire country. And then you add impact, top 10 in the country with 56,000 students. We are proving that a vision one day can become an unstoppable force for good. But we thought it was appropriate to acknowledge our past and one family and founder in particular. It was 1940 when a state legislator named Ernest Cap Graham first called for a public university in Miami. We know that Ernest Graham would be proud of the impact of his original vision. It's an honor to recognize the Graham family here today, whose FIU champions over the years have also included Governor, then Senator Bob Graham, Congresswoman and now Assistant Secretary of Education Gwen Graham, and Don Graham, the founder of Dream.org, that has provided over $7 million in support to our students over the years. I'd like to call Assistant Secretary Graham to the podium to present her with an FIU history book, very appropriate on our 50th anniversary year.
Thank you.
Don't get my shoes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I couldn't find any heels today. They're all in my office. Thank you.
And as we look to our future, the FIU family is excited that leading our next chapter is a great leader with a great heart, and that is FIU's sixth president, Kenneth A. Jessel.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you all for being here today on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. Carlos, you have such insight. Thank you for not scheduling the ribbon cutting for yesterday morning. I mean, today it's absolutely gorgeous out there in our nation's capital. I wanted to make a couple of brief comments on a few of the things that we heard. You are absolutely right, Representative Diaz-Balart. Social mobility. It is not coincidence that the last four letters of American are I can. And we prove that day in and day out, and we are so proud to be in the top 5 in the country with respect to social mobility. We are the place at the Carlos Jimenez University where we make dreams come true. And day in and day out, when you look at the fact that half of our students are Pell-eligible students, and about 30% of our students are first-generation students, we produce success stories. And we will never give up on that mission because it is a very, very noble mission. We take kids, we take students, and make them successful when others wouldn't even give them the opportunity to make their dream come true. So we will not forget that, and we appreciate all the support that you give us because that is what makes it possible. It takes dollars to invest, and believe me, we are giving you a great return on your investment. Today, as we gather in our nation's capital to celebrate a milestone for our university, the official welcoming for FIU in DC. And Carlos, just one other point. Now I understand the importance of architectural design and why the Ventanita really had to start first. And we designed everything around that center. And we've had people here this morning from the FIU grads, from Penn State, that now live in Washington, D.C., to say, I'm here because of the Ventanita. Every time I come here, I'm reminded of Miami. So thank you very, very much for that. I have had the opportunity over the last few years to be in D.C. Many times, but this is my first opportunity as the sixth president of FIU. And as Chair Colson mentioned, that took place 1 week ago today, so I am now in my 7th day. As FIU embarks on its next chapter, we remain focused on 4 key pillars, and I talked about this during the town hall meetings in September and October: student success, research excellence, sustainable resources, and affinity and engagement. And on that latter point, we talk about our 5,600 students that started in 1972, our 56,000 students today, but we have almost 300,000 alums that live in your areas, your districts, your communities. And then when we factor in the parents and grandparents of our FIU graduates, I think we represent 60% of the almost 3 million people that live in Miami-Dade County. We really do have a major impact in South Florida. And FIU in DC is instrumental in achieving these pillars. and making sure that our goals and objectives are continued and met and exceeded. FIU in DC in many ways reaffirms FIU's commitment to having an engaging presence in Washington, DC, which is a critical component of our work to foster federal, corporate, and international partnerships. And we know we cannot do it without great partnerships. As Miami's public research university, we are focused on transforming our dynamic global city and responding to the needs of a global workforce. Our collaboration with federal partners is at the center of this work and has been throughout the 50-year history of FIU, only 50 years young. For example, after Hurricane Andrew impacted South Florida 30 years ago, FIU partnered with federal entities to find solutions that would ensure the preservation and safety of our community. And just yesterday, we continued that dialogue with seminars on environmental resilience that included many federal agencies as well as private enterprises coming up with additional solutions to make our communities safe. Among our successes is the creation of the National Science Foundation funded Wall of Wind, the largest and most powerful university research facility of its kind, and the only one capable of simulating a Cat 5 hurricane. And sadly, we are working on a collaboration with the NSF and industry groups on our vision for research that looks at 200-mile-per-hour winds and storm surge action. And I say sadly because we have to face reality. These storms are getting stronger, and it's not just the wind, it is the water. So we must understand how we can, as a research university, help to create safer and better communities. So it's sad that we have to address it, but we are excited to be the solution for that major problem. And given our location in storm-vulnerable South Florida, our focus on environmental resilience, we see ourselves as the working lab for the rest of the nation and indeed the rest of the world, because no area is immune. We are proud to be the state of Florida's University of Distinction in Environmental Resilience. And thanks to our federal partners, we have had over $200 million in environmental resilience research over the past 10 years. And just like environmental resilience, we are committed to continuing to make an impact on other areas. Water quality testing, where our scientists have already influenced phosphorus standards in Florida. Population health, where the NIH just renewed a $20 million grant to fund a health disparity center focused on mental health training. Defense technologies, where our delegation and the Department of Defense have been critical to promoting our work in reconfigurable antennas and additive manufacturing. In fact, along with our friends from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, we will soon be announcing a major grant in advancing ultra-high performance concrete. Even in the international development space, as Deputy Secretary of State Brian McKeon and U.S. Aid Administrator Samantha Power saw when they visited FIU earlier this year, we are providing critical support to security efforts in Central America and forensics around the world. Clearly, FIU is making an impact, and we are just getting started. In addition to our societal imprint, we are also here to reaffirm our commitment to our hardworking, talented students, ensuring they will have a great platform in Washington, D.C. that will allow them to assert leadership on key challenges facing our nation. Already, 125 students interned in D.C. right from this office. We are so proud of that. And we have also innovated the career seminar fly-ins, hosting another 700 students who are gaining exposure to key employers in our nation's capital and beyond. Finally, we are here to make a bold commitment to lead, along with many other universities similar to FIU, public, minority-serving, high Pell Grant percentage, and research-intensive institutions who are making an impact in our communities. And we are very proud to be one of 20 members of the Alliance of Hispanic-Serving R1 Research Universities to advocate for our students and our communities. As we look to the future of higher education in this country, FIU is clearly an example of how universities can accomplish the trifecta: academic excellence, research impact, and high social mobility. At FIU, we know that our federal partnerships are a key component of our successes and of our rise to top 50 public universities in the countries. On behalf of the entire FIU family, our Board of Trustees, thank you for supporting our great FIU, and especially for offering our students so many opportunities to succeed. Where there are opportunities, there is success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Jessel, and we're so excited to have you on board. And as one of the students this semester as a Hamilton Scholar, while also being a Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute Global Leader, I am so excited to stand here and represent my student body and say, as one of the students this semester, thank you. Thank you to our members of Congress, agency officials, and so many national partners that allow us to collaborate together and make all these opportunities possible. Sincerely, thank you. So, to continue this and not leave it in the past or the present, let's take this into the future. So if you see behind your name tag, there's a little QR code here that allows you a chance to collaborate with FIU. This will allow our top talents, right? Our top talents, which is our faculty, our students, our alumni, our overall community, to make an impact in not only Miami, but here in DC, and of course, around the world. One of the key areas that we love to showcase here in FIU, as you've been hearing throughout this whole program, is environmental resilience. Just this semester, as a Hamilton Scholar, I've been able to work in advocating with our water quality researchers, such as Dr. Todd Crow in the back. He's here with us today, so hello. Let's give a little hand. We've been able to work with our researchers, with our agency partners like the EPA, and of course our delegation in Florida to increase water testing fundings in South Florida, which is amazing. And now we're going to continue to a little brief 4-minute video. It's a little brief. and it's going to speak more about our beloved Everglades. So as we start going, it might sound a little soothing, a little National Geographic-y at first, but let's see if you catch a little mic drop near the end.
On a winter morning in South Florida, the sun rises over the Atlantic Ocean. It falls first on the beach hotels, then on the high-rises across Biscayne Bay in downtown Miami, and then spreads out over a broad swath of urban sprawl to fall on a much older landscape, the Everglades. Early Native American inhabitants of the Glades called the subtropical landscape Pahioki, or grassy water. It may look like an endless swamp, but the Everglades is actually a wide, slow-moving river of grass flowing from the Kissimmee River in the north to Florida Bay in the south. It is a mosaic of distinct ecosystems connected by flowing water. These ecosystems are the habitats and food webs for an array of endangered and threatened animals, such as the American alligator, manatee, and roseate spoonbill. They also provide environmental services to Florida residents. The water that percolates down through the peninsula's porous limestone replenishes the Biscayne aquifer, which provides 9 million Floridians with fresh water. Mangrove forests in the southern end provide a buffer for coastal storms. Together with seagrass beds, they extract carbon out of the atmosphere and store it in the soil, mitigating the effects of climate change. And this also supports fisheries that drive Florida's recreation and tourism industries. Yet, more than a century of agriculture and development has diverted this historic flow of water and introduced nutrient pollutants into the ecosystem, threatening the fish, plants, birds, mammals, even the soil itself. Throughout the year, teams of students and scientists from Florida International University in Miami set out from FIU's main campus. These teams are part of the National Science Foundation's long-term ecological research program. This work is part of the decades-long Everglades Restoration Project, the largest ecosystem restoration project in the world, designed to put the Everglades habitats back in balance, accelerated now with historic financial support from Congress and the state of Florida. Student researchers at FIU help guide this multi-billion-dollar, multi-agency program.
Everglades restoration, to me, is such a pivotal project to the future of our state, to the future of our planet. We're really focusing a lot on climate change and the capacity of the Everglades to be a major carbon sink, meaning that it helps to keep carbon out of the atmosphere and hopefully helps to mitigate some of the worst impacts of climate change. But it can only do that if we're effectively conserving it and restoring it through the various projects under the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan.
The Everglades is now about half its original size, but the problems it faces are only getting bigger.
We're detecting salinity in places where we've never detected salinity before. And those days with detectable salinity are increasing from a few days to multiple weeks to a month. That's pretty rapid change for an ecosystem.
It is in everyone's interest that the ecosystem bounces back from its many shocks, and that restoration succeeds so we can recover a healthy, thriving Everglades for plants, animals, and for humans.
Everglades restoration is arguably one of the, if not the most successful ecosystem scale restoration programs ever undertaken in the history of the planet. Collaboration has not only been key to the success, but it's been absolutely necessary from the very beginnings of the restoration program. And Florida International University has been at the center of that science since the very beginning.
The eyes of the world are really on South Florida. Our students and scientists are working as hard as we can to ensure that the restoration project is as effective as possible for the Everglades, South Florida, and the world.
Definitely very National Geographic. Well, there you go. The Everglades, our beloved, and I'm glad the director of the National Park Service is here joining us, because obviously the Department of Interior, NOAA, EPA, FIU continues its commitment, not only in Washington, but on such an important restoration, and thanks to Congress and our state leadership, we are there. So there you go. Welcome to FIU in Washington, D.C., where we are here to open new doors of collaboration, celebrate our existing collaboration. I do want to give an additional shout out. We heard from we saw Dr. Todd Crowell, Rita Teutonico, very important on our environmental portfolio. We have Carolyn Robertson here, who helps lead our Extreme Events Institute. Some of our technology and patents that are on display on the shelves in the lobby were invented, tied to our Wall of Wind facility, as well as Dr. Nair. We have our cold spray additive technology display there too. That's been an area of growth for us with the Army Research Lab. So we're here to celebrate our students and support our students. A round of applause for Sophie. Huh? We know that DC is also an amazing lab for students that have learned amazing things in Miami, in the classroom, and are here unleashed to tackle challenges like this. And we're here to support our students, and thank you again to our student government population. Just so everyone knows, on that side of this large room, this divides up into two, and on 2 evenings a week, we are now offering 3 academic courses here in Washington, D.C. to give them these hands-on experiences. And of course, we know that they are also the diverse approaches that the federal government and our national partners need. So please, hashtag hire FIU, right? We're here to harness our convening power in very collaborative ways. Last week, we had 50 researchers from around the country as part of an Army Research Office conference. Yesterday, our resilience dialogue. Friday, the USAID will be here. Tomorrow is a congressional briefing on blockchain and women of color. So that's very important to us. And of course, we will all be doing this in an amazing, beautiful new facility, thanks to the support of our trustees and our university, with the warmth and the sounds, as we heard earlier, of Miami. By the way, this would make an amazing soccer viewing party. Fun fact, FIU is now ranked 10th seed in the soccer championship beginning this Sunday, so we'll need to power that up. Finally, I do want to give a special shout out to the team here in FIU in Washington, D.C. This is a team effort, both back home, those of you listening, scores of our colleagues in our communications and marketing shops, Nicole Regalado, Lily Latchman, Michelle Trochet, Daniel Chavez back in the operating room, Eric Feldman. These are, and so many interns that are helping us produce this program, so, and making us go on any given day. So, trustees, we have built it, and they have come, our partners. Thank you so much, and please enjoy the rest of your morning.